Boom.
Hey everyone, it's Brian here from Massey's Main Entertainment. We're logging back on this week and continuing our journey of building that perfect album, making it all the way up to 1994, kind of in the heart of the 90s here, where music is kind of planting its feet a little bit with all sorts of different genres that are cropping up here and there, and some brand new bands are kind of establishing themselves, and they'll go on to have these huge catalogs that we'll run into. Joined today by my buddy Rich Strickler. I'm going to put his link down below, and our buddy Doc here. Doc, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. So we're at 1994. Just wanted to let everybody know that we run a tandem video. So tonight we're going to record the Building the Perfect Album, but we also record a top 10 movies for this year as well. We're going to have that up on Rich's channel. So if you get a chance to watch our video here, click on the link down below, go over to Rich's channel, check out our top 10 movies as well. It's kind of fun to do. And we have videos up from 1965 all the way up to 1993 for music, and all the way from 1980 to 1993 for movies. So kind of cool there. We will also have Spotify lists down below of all of our playlists. So guys, I really liked 1994. I mean, we had a little bit of a down thing for 1993, but I came up with a really solid 12, in my opinion, for myself. And I ended up, leaving a lot of stuff out there that could have made it, on another year, it would have made it, like in 1993, would have made it easily. But what do you guys think of 94?
Well, if I was to jump in, I would sit there and say, listen, I'm going to go back to something I'd say before we actually started filming. I'd like to change my answer to 0 from 2, just based on what Brian just said. So I think you guys know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I liked it. You didn't. Oh, okay. I got it.
Yeah, Brian's, you've got quite the diverse gamut that you get into and stuff like that, which is going to fit you probably a little better than it does me. But I got 12 tunes here in 94 that I'm happy to listen to these 12 tunes at any time. But I found overall for Doc's kind of music, it's a little weaker than previous years. 93 was iffy too, but it floats in the same neighborhood for me in some senses as 93, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a little worse for me.
Okay.
I have absolute filler. I'm counting 2, 3, or maybe even 4 filler songs that I really struggled to find stuff I like this particular year. I have 6 artists that I've carried over from previous years, and 6 new that making their first time on my album through the year. So we'll see how it goes. I don't hate the songs. They're just, a couple of them are mediocre or symbolic of that year, and I wanted to stick them on. They're not necessarily ones that I listen to a whole heck of a lot. So that's where I'm at.
Okay. Well, our order tonight is going to be the exact same for music as it is for movies. I'm going to lead off, and then Doc's going to go second, and then Rich is going to close this thing out. So, Rich, you have lots to brag about by the end here. So,
yeah.
Sounds good.
All right. So kicking it off for me in 1994, I got a band I haven't seen for at least since 1989 now. I've got the Beastie Boys' Sabotage here. Completely different sound for them. A lot of people were really kind of taken back. They're coming off being a strictly hip-hop band. Now they're kind of playing around with different music genres. But what I want to impress upon everybody is that the Beastie Boys were a punk band before they were a hip-hop band. So it's something to always remember. They were out there in the scene ahead of time before they got picked up by Rick Rubin and Def Jam Records and turned into a hip-hop band. So I kick it off with Sabotage. Number 2 for me, I've got from Soundgarden, Super Unknown. I've got Fell on Black Days. I know a lot of people will, want to pick Black Hole Sun. It's kind of traditional pick. Maybe their bigger tune from a chart standpoint. But I like it. I like Chris Cornell's voice on this track a little bit better. I like the guitar work, and it's got a little bit more of a eerie quality to it. And they just sound like a really great band in this track. So I wanted to pick this one, a little bit different for me. The third song on this side, I've got Basket Case from Green Day.
Ooh.
Kind of a punk accessible band. I mean, they're a punk band, but it made punk kind of accessible to the masses here. Dookie was a huge record. A lot of people started listening to punk rock a little bit more, at least punk rock that was, the watered down kind of stuff, like, Good Charlotte and things like that would happen later on. That's kind of teen angsty stuff, but they kind of picked up on listening to punk maybe a little bit more because of Green Day, and Dookie is a huge album here. Number 4 for me, the debut of Oasis, definitely Maybe. Their album came out. I've got Up in the Sky. There's 2 tracks I could have picked on here. I had Rock and Roll Star, and I had this one. Both really great guitar work in it. The Gallagher brothers, when they can get along, do some great stuff, and had a huge impact on music here. This album may be my favorite, a little bit over What's the Story, Morning Glory, just a little bit, but What's the Story, Morning Glory is going to have a bigger impact on music going down the road, I think. But I picked Up in the Sky here. Number 5 for me, I've got REM coming back. This is probably the last time you guys will see REM. I know I'm a huge fan, but I felt like this was the last quality album that they put out that could break into a top 12. I got What's the Frequency, Kenneth. The story that goes along with this is it was something that was obscure that was said to Dan Rather when he was out reporting on the streets. Some guy just started coming up to him and started beating the crap out of poor Dan. And the only thing he was saying the whole time was, "What's the frequency, Kenneth? What's the frequency, Kenneth?" And so it's this really abstract thing. We all know how Michael Stipe loves his abstract lyrics and things like that. So he probably loved grabbing a hold of something like that. And closing out side 1 from Tom Petty's great masterpiece, Wildflowers. I've got the title track here. I could have picked 6 or 7 songs off of here. I'm a huge fan of this album. I think it's really underrated. Didn't get a lot of love, I think, that it should have, because it kind of fell in the middle of everything else that was going on in music with grunge and hip hop and Britpop and all sorts of pops type of stuff. But I think it's a quality track, and this is like, I felt like Tom was really like he's hitting that crest where he was like getting to be just a really good songwriter. And I love his materials that came out after that as well. So you're going to see a lot more Tom as we move forward. So that's side 1.
Nice. Well, I can see that you are definitely on top of things in '94. All those bands and artists you mentioned were peaking. So I have no complaints. I'm glad to see Tom Petty on there. It's definitely diverse. It's definitely a Brian album so far. So very cool.
Yeah, it's I like your album, Brian. I can tell you now, I can tell you later, I can tell you when I go, but I'm going to let you know. Sabotage was my last cut.
Ooh,
Oh my God!
Right now.
What a great music video, right?
Fantastic, best video, man. Best
that
video
70s pop
man.
show. Look to it. They even got these little porn stashes, and he's got god awful haircuts.
Right.
Just an awesome.
They could have taken it right from the set from Kojak or something like that.
Pulling down their glasses and everything else. I was like, this is great. I love this stuff.
Awesome, but that was my last cut, and I like a lot of the other songs you rang off there on your side A, buddy. So kind of looking forward to your side B.
Well, you can tell you were the right age in 1994 of Oasis and Green Day and Beastie Boys, all that stuff.
I was in my mid-20s, so that's what I'm gonna be like, right on top of that stuff.
Right, yeah. I was already like 37. That stuff was way behind me, and it's just the way it is. I mean,
yeah, it is. It is.
And I respect. 10 years before that or 12 years before that would have been I would have been your age, and I would have been picking out whatever was hot at the time in the 80s. So it's just the way it is.
All right, side 2 for me. I've got kicking off. I've got the Cranberries. I've got Zombie, which I think is like a really good representation of Dolores O'Riordan's voice. Maybe as close as they are going to get to a rock song. If you're going to say the Cranberries actually did a rock song, probably most notorious because there was a band recently that had a cover version of it. It wasn't Disturbed, was it, guys? I can't remember which one it was.
Oh no.
They did a cover version of Zombie, and it ended up being this huge hit again. So everybody started backtracking and listening to it. I think it was Disturbed. I may be mistaken.
Maybe it was.
We'll have to look it up. Number 2, Doc will appreciate this one too. From Jar of Flies, I've got I Stay Away from Alice in Chains. I didn't think I was going to end up having 3 of the years in the 90s going to have Alice in Chains, but I was wrong. I really love Jar of Flies. Very cool album. This track's a little bit more laid back than the other ones I've chose for the other subsequent years, but it's a really, I think it's a good album, and I wanted to include a track from that. Number 3 for me, from the Division Bell. I don't know how Doc feels about this. I've got Keep Talking from Pink Floyd here. What I like most about it, it's got that typical Pink Floyd sound, and Gilmour's guitar is really good in it. Yeah. And it's got that nice little intro from Stephen Hawking at the beginning where he's talking about the real landmark in the development of humans was the ability to talk. And then the premise of the song kind of kicks off from there, and it kind of has that whole Floydish vibe to it the rest of the way. Really great song. I enjoy it. Number 4, I've got a representation of trip hop. Finally, they'll have a couple more songs in the 90s that I'll have, but this one's from a band called Portishead from their album Dummy. This is called Glory Box. Very subdued, ethereal type of music mixed with R&B, hip hop type of beats, and thus you get the word trip hop. You know, it's kind of trippy and hip hop at the same time. Really good stuff. You're going to come out with, like Massive Attack's going to be in this era here, Tricky, things like that. But this will be the first representation. Number 5, I've got Jeff Buckley's from Grace. I've got Hallelujah, his cover version of Leonard Cohen's classic. Great album all the way through. There's 2 or 3 tracks I could have picked here from Jeff. Jeff's voice is just absolutely fantastic. It's a barely a miss his cover version being better than Cohen's. I got Cohen's being just a little bit better. It feels like it comes from a slightly more real place when Cohen sings it for some reason, but everybody has their preference.
Sure.
And closing it out, I've got from Live's album Throwing Copper, I've got Lightning Crashes. There was like 4 tracks I could have taken off of here as well. Live was a very big act during this time. The music video was directed by Tony Scott, guy who did Crimson Tide. But what I liked most about the music video is it used a lot of biblical imagery in it. Had a woman giving childbirth, and of course she dies in childbirth while the baby, you can hear the screams of the baby. And what I liked is it had imageries of pears lying all over the bed, which if you think back into the biblical terms, people always think it's apple that was the forbidden fruit in the Garden of Eden, but an apple is actually a hybrid of a pear. So more likely the fruit in the garden, if you subscribe to that, would have had to have been a pear. So it's harking back to original sin. Woman feels pain in childbirth. Woman loses her life. So really, very good symbolic video. I really thought it was really cool. And that's going to close out my second side.
94, buddy. 94.
Feels like 94.
I tell you, buddy, that's like we're 5 years, less than a minute and a half hearing how my list goes and starting off, and then you'll sit there and go, oh my God. So that's what I'm going to say.
I'm going to say you're showing off your diversity again. I mean, Portishead, I couldn't name you a song from Portishead, so it's out of my league. That's all. I'm honest, but I like some of the songs you had. I'm aware of the rest of them. So good job.
Cool.
Yeah, very good.
Awesome. So Doc, you're going to have to, if you're going to hold on to that trifecta, man, it's going to have to be you to stabilize this thing.
I guess we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
We have a chance. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
I'm going to start off with Stone Temple, starting my side A, buddy. So it's coming back in. I'm going Interstate Love Song. Yeah, I know. Stone Temple, yeah, they're just outside of the regular grunge kind of thing, I guess, in one sense, because it's a rock band that sings grungy, I guess, is what I'd almost put it at. Pretty catchy, man. It's a catchy hook, and it's a nice build up in it. And once that guitar drops, you're into the tune, man. It's, Waiting on a Sunday afternoon. He's got a great voice, man. He's got a great voice. I like Vaseline off this album as well. I think that was a big hit, and it's a really cool tune too. So,
right, it is. Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Dookie going in right after it from Green Day, buddy. I got the same thing as you, except I don't have the title track. I've got Longview coming in. So
okay, that's fine.
Yeah. I like the guitar in this one, the grunge sound of the guitar in this one. It's got that quick stop and go kind of sound on the guitar, and it's. I sit around and watch the TV. It's nothing, and then it gets into the chorus and stuff like that. It really kicks, and it's. I like the way that you described Green Day because it's a punk rock, accessible punk rock kind of sound,
right?
Which I think is because punk rock's really not my thing, man. But this is an accessible punk rock kind of sounding band, and it's rocky punk kind of thing, and it's just different. And I think the way you described it was really cool. So I got Longview at number 2. Throwing Copper, hey buddy, that's a good album, eh? So I got I Alone.
Good track.
Yeah, it's a great tune, man. I was down to Lightning Crashes or I Alone, but you're right. You could have had 4 or 5 songs off this album. The first half of that album is just one hit after another, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, Brian touched on the band already live. They were, they're great live. I can tell you that too. So I've seen them twice. But I Alone is it's got that same kind of build, right? It's build up on the guitar, and then when it hits the chorus, it's just a rocking tune, man. And they weren't really grungy, but they were, when they got into their rock, I'd say it's more of like, it wasn't soft rock, I'll tell you that, man. This is like a rock band is probably what I'd call it, straight up.
They were going to thrive. They're definitely going to thrive in the grunge era, though, with that sound. Yeah.
With that sound, because it just had a little bit of enough of an edge on it that it fit that bill. So I got some local coming in at number 4 for me. I got Our Lady Peace with a song called Starseed coming in right behind it.
Okay.
Don't ask me this guy's name. This guy's name is Rain something, the lead singer. He's married to Chantal Kravietz, I think.
Okay, yeah, I know her.
Starseed is just he's got a unique sound, he's got a unique voice, and I like a lot of Our Lady Peace because first off, I'd hear a lot more than you guys would and stuff like that, and it's pretty catchy. Once again, I would say Our Lady Peace in 1994. If this was south of the border, they would have been huge. That's what I would say, and this is quite honestly, this is truth, man. They're known up here, but nobody knows them south of the 49.
Only one song I knew by them was called Innocent. That's it.
Yeah, there's a tune. Yeah, this album's pretty good, man. Starseed is a really cool rock song, is what I'd say. Like I said, it's got a unique voice. I'd give it a listen if you haven't heard it. It made my top 12 because I actually placed it in my top 12 of 94, man. I can't BS it. It fits for me. Right. Yeah, Dolores, Cranberries, Zombie, number 5, buddy.
Perfect.
You can't get away from that voice, man. And then you start singing the chorus, in your head, you can sing it all you want or whatever. But yeah, I would say you touched on it too, Brian. So you've had a couple of good points on some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about as we go. But when you talked about being a little heavier, I had down my note more of a kind of raunchy kind of sound for the Cranberries, because this is more, the guitar is a little stronger in it and stuff like that before you get to it. So I would say you're right. It's not a soft rock song. This is, when you get right down to it, kind of a rock song, really, with that guitar especially. So, and I'll finish off my side A with something from the Super Unknown, of course, Soundgarden. I got Spoon Man. So,
wow.
Yeah, there's 3 songs off this I probably could have taken.
Right.
You nailed one. Black Hole Sun's the other, and Spoon Man. I get right back to that riff, man. I'm a kind of a guitar guy anyway, and that Spoon Man is, it's just a grunge rock tune, man. I love Chris Cornell's sound. This tune fits me definitely at 94. That's why I'm my side A.
Yeah.
Awesome.
1000% a Doc side.
No question.
Totally.
No question. Especially when you pulled out that Canadian band, man. That was big time.
Yeah.
Our Lady Peace.
Yeah.
Like I said, very unique sound. You got some soft, got some heavy, got some light, but good sound.
Yeah.
But I told you I'd be all over it there, Brian. When you said, hey, your album, I'm bringing off 1, 2, 3, 4 of your artists are on my side, and we got one match.
Yeah,
Very good.
Yeah, we're right around it though. That's what I kind of figured. There'd be some albums that we would have the same. We're all right.
Yeah, I mean, if I start at my side B, yeah, I don't mind the division bell, buddy. So I'm going to start some Floyd too. So I like your pick, by the way. And there's a few good tunes on there. So Come Back to Life is a really good song. I went High Hopes, man. I just
The guitar in it's great.
the guitar in that is just so Floyd. Like you said, but like you touched on, this is a real Floyd sounding album, even though Roger's not involved here. It does have a lot of that Floyd sound. The guitar is awesome. And I do find that it's got a great piano in it and everything else. So it's it's Floyd. It's like a haunting kind of song, and I think it's it'll start my side B, man, for sure. It's a good album. Who do I go to next, eh? John Mellencamp's Dance Naked is going to come in right behind it. This is where I stay. You guys know I like my Americana song and sound and all that kind of stuff. And Mellencamp fits the bill for me here, man. This is a laid back Americana kind of song, man. Strummed to an acoustic. A little bit more meaning behind the song and the lyrics that probably is given credit for, but it's a really easy listen. It's I mentioned it before when we do our videos on some of these things. Sometimes those simple songs just really connect with me, and I like those listens. So, and that's what I get here. I got Pearl Jam's Better Man coming in behind that at number 3. I guess I like my Pearl Jam because they're going to make an appearance here as we move forward as well too. So,
They'll be around a while.
Pardon me?
They'll be around a while.
Yeah, they will. Obviously, one of the staples from the 90s on, I guess, is probably what I'd say. Pearl Jam stuck around. They're still kicking and they're still doing things. But Better Man is just the tune off that album. I'm trying to remember which one this is now. Biology, I think. So, Vitology, I think. Yeah. It's Vedder's voice, man. And it's got more, this is more of a laid back rock song, is what I would call it. So, I can't find a better man. It's another kind of just an easy listening, heavier kind of tune from Pearl Jam. Once again, it fits my softer side of my album here. So that's what I got. Dan Rather getting like that, eh? That was pretty tough, eh? Whew.
Yeah.
What is the frequency, Kenneth, buddy? It's my number 4 from REM coming in. Yeah, Stipe's got something about him there, especially when he's even delivering the lyrics in this song. It's just like, it's almost like pointing your finger at you. It's almost as he's saying it. I'm like, well, what's the frequency with you, Kenneth, man? It's almost like it's almost at times it's like he's asking literally, what the frick is the question, man? Come on. Still got that catchy REM sound. I don't know if they're done with me yet, Brian. So I'll say that.
All right.
I like the REM sound, man. I like the REM sound, and this is right in that wheelhouse again for me. I got the Tragically Hip coming in at number 5, buddy, with Grace 2 for me. Guess I got a couple of my Canadian guys in there, made the list. I got the Iron Lady and I got the Tragically Hip. So kind of an underrated album, this day and night. It's there's a lot of good songs on here. Harder to pick this one over, Nautical Disaster or something like that. There's a couple of really good tunes on here, I think. So Grace 2 has just always been one that's kind of the build up of the song. Gordon Downey's got a great voice. If you haven't heard it, give it a listen. I think you might like the hip out there. He's almost talk singing until he gets into the song part of it and stuff like that. So
it would be a great encore song. If you need to come back on after, if somebody asks you to do encore, perfect song.
Drop this one in there. Yeah. Saying I'm fabulously, just the flow of it, he just goes with it. And it's really cool guitar work behind it, stuff like that. Down and down and down, just groovy catches and stuff like that. Really cool tune. I'm gonna have my 94 with Petty, man. So yeah, we're gonna take something here too. You don't know how it feels, man. I gotta go there. So that's a harmonica and talking about a joint in the same song kind of makes my list, I think. So
no question.
It's classic Tom Petty, man. Brian touched on the album Wallflowers here. This is fantastic. It's, you know, I know some people have it as their number one. It's not my number one for Penny. I got Dan and probably Southern accents ahead of this, but that's me. But we're talking about Tom Petty here, man. There's a lot you can choose from. So, and like Brian said, you could have had 5 or 6 songs that could have easily leapt up to number one on this. But that Tom Petty sound, singing the Tom Petty stuff, man. You don't know how it feels. I think it's a pretty good way to end 94 for me.
Yeah. I found it interesting is that video they had to bleep out joint of all the things that were being let go in the music industry as far as being let in videos allowed and words and everything. The word joint was like, that's the line. I just thought there was
really that's the big problem in the music industry right now in the mid-90s.
They're bleeping out joint. It was,
come on,
that was crazy. Yeah.
Hip hop videos are taking off and everything else is getting under the sun and all that kind of stuff.
Crazy.
Yeah. And, you know, great guitar work in that tune too, by the way. That song is almost got like a Procol Harlem kind of feel on some of the guitar in that too. So
Mike Campbell, shout out.
Total.
Yep. Very good. Wow. I feel like I'm back to my Lawrence Welk days again after you guys lay out all the Oasises and the you know, what's the other one? Whatever. I mean, I can't even think of all the heavy Stone Temple and
Pearl Jam and Soundgarden.
9 Inch Nails and all these. I'm like struggling city here. All right, here we go. Wrap this baby up. I'm leading it off with Tom Petty off Wildflowers, and that's You Wreck Me. That's my favorite song off that album.
Wow.
Nice little rocker. Petty's second solo album. Arguably his best album. A lot of the critics now are all over that, saying it's his best album. I don't feel that way, but I mean, I can see why. It's a beautiful album. This song's written by Petty and Mike Campbell, who we just mentioned. It's a great rock song. I've seen Petty in concert 6 times. He always does this song, and it brings the house down. Just a crowd pleaser, very catchy. You Wreck Me, Baby, you Break Me in Two, all that stuff. Real good song. Number 2, I've got one of Doc's songs, believe it or not, Better Man by Pearl Jam. I love this song. This is my favorite Pearl Jam song of all time.
Wow.
It's easy.
Really?
Wow.
Easy, with no question. I just love how it starts out with sort of an acoustic, and then it gets rocking hard. It builds. Song about relationships, trying to be a better man. Love it. I've seen him and Springsteen do it, not in person, but on video, where they do a duet together, and Bruce rocks this tune with Eddie. Classic.
Fantastic.
If you haven't seen that on YouTube, check it out. I think Bruce likes the song too, and it fits his style with that raspy voice.
Yeah.
Good stuff. My third tune is, are you guys sitting down? Black Hole Sun by Soundgarden.
Get out.
I swear to God. So we had 3 different songs from this album, right? From Super Unknown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a grunge song. The alternative rock. I got a little psychedelic edge to it. Chris Cornell, you guys mentioned his voice. It's just an anthem for those dissatisfied youth out there. Black Hole Sun, Won't You Come, Wash Away the Rain, all that stuff. This is one of my big songs from that year. I think it's a wonderful song. Number 4 on side 1 is the only trifecta, Zombie by the Cranberries. We got one.
There we go.
We got one.
Yeah, you're right about Dolores's voice here. It's more edgy, rocky. It's not as pretty or beautiful as some of the songs we've mentioned in the past, but it's still awesome, powerful, meaningful. It's about these children that were killed in the IRA bombings, I believe, the 3-year-old and the 12-year-old. Great stuff. Irish band, of course, Zombie, Cranberries. That's my number 4. My number 5 tune is by a new band that broke on the scene, I think, around this time. Hootie and the Blowfish, Hold My Hand. I just like the harmonies on this song from the Cracked Rear View album. Darius Rucker's got that gospel-infused kind of voice, soulful. It's got roots rock in it too, and pop. All the elements I like. I could have went with Let Her Cry or Only Want to Be With You. Those were all hits off that album, but I like Hold My Hand. I like the way the harmonies build. And my last tune on side one here is by the Pretenders. I always seem to have a lot of Pretender songs. I'll Stand By You. Chrissy Hind on lead vocals, of course.
Good tune.
Last of the Independents, a beautiful ballad. She's known more for the rocking and the edgy punk, new wave stuff, but this is a straight up ballad, very emotive vocal, and I wanted to include it on my my side A.
Well, I'll tell you, Rich, you started off there with a rockier album than Doc or I had.
Yeah, where do you see side two?
It's like, and then what I thought was really cool too is like, you got to Hold My Hand. It's like funny as Darius Rucker's now like a really successful country artist now.
Sure is.
I like his voice, man.
Yeah.
I really do, and I like him in this era with that.
You know, that Hold My Hand song was, you know, it was on my list when I started doing my list of tunes, man. And that thing was a monster.
It was.
And that's catchy as hell, man. You're right. It covers a lot of elements in that song.
Yeah.
It's poppy. It's catchy. It's a little rocky. It's got a country undertone.
Yeah.
Covering a lot of gamuts, man.
Yeah.
Really well done.
Yeah. So actually, the side one are 6 songs that I would listen to today. It's side 2 where it sort of falls off, and I had to really throw in some mediocre tunes, as you'll see coming up here. I'm going to kick it off with Blues Traveler, Run Around. Got the killer harmonica. Yeah, it's kind of a vibe song. You're at a party, and this will be playing. It kind of picks up your spirits. We'll dance around a little bit. If you're into that kind of music, it's fine. It's not one that stuck with me over the years, but I was going through 94, though. I felt like it fit my kind of style a little bit. So I
Sure does.
Run Around. And same with the number 2 song here. Edwin Collins, A Girl Like You, a Scottish singer-songwriter.
Right.
Never met a girl. He sounds a little bit like Bowie in that delivery, you know?
Sure does.
Funky.
There's a bunch of guitar work in there that's really cool.
It's very good, actually. Yeah. Another one of these combinations of funk, soul, blues, a little bit. And it could fit in any decade if you think about it, that voice. You could hear that in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. It's going to work as a hit record, you know?
It's also one of those songs, Rich, that as soon as you say it, it goes right in your head. You just start singing it. Because I'm singing it in my head right now.
that voice, you know? So I went with that. Now, here's where I start getting a little wacky. My third tune is Gin and Juice by Snoop Dogg. I love the video. I just like, you know, I got my mind on my money and my money on my mind. That's sort of a hypnotic kind of verse.
Nice.
And produced by Dr. Dre, you know, booze and smoking pot and getting laid, all that kind of stuff. Things that were going on in the hood. And I like Snoop Dogg. I always have. He was actually Snoop Doggy Dogg back then.
Right.
The Doggy Style album, which I love that title as well. Not that I'm perverted, but I'm on the cusp. My number 4 tune is by the Eagles off their Hell Freezes Over album, Learn to Be Still. This is a song written by Don Henley and Stan Lynch, who was the drummer of the Heartbreakers at the time. He got kicked out of the Heartbreakers, made some solo stuff with Henley. They wrote this song. Just a poetic, kind of metaphor-filled song. I always liked Don Henley's songwriting style. I think he's an intelligent songwriter with his words, and usually comes up with a decent melody. And I've had him in the past, and wanted to include him here. My 5th track, this is just absolute filler. Elton John's Circle of Life. Don't laugh too hard. From the Lion King movie. I just threw it out. The movie's good for an animated film, not my thing. It's very theatrical, the Circle of Life with the lions and everybody on the mountain there. It fits in the film, and I couldn't come up with a 12th song. So this is the one I picked. And I'm going to end it with Jeff Buckley's Hallelujah. I think it's a wonderful cover here of the Leonard Cohen song. Both are great. And it's nitpicky to pick one over the other, but I always go with the songwriter. I take Leonard's a little bit better, but Jeff has a better voice, obviously. Wonderful song. People of all demographics can get behind this, whether you're old, young, black, white, man, woman. Everybody loves this song. It's for the masses. Everybody loves it, and it's been covered in an infinity amount of
Yeah.
time. So,
Well,
and it's a good closer for the year too. Hallelujah, hallelujah! Thank
It
God
is.
this year's over. Anyway,
I'm thinking to myself, I'm going, if somebody sees your list, Rich, they're going to be like, this guy's not ever going to get a job as a DJ. Because the last thing you can do is make a transition from, yeah, that was Snoop Dogg. And next up is little Elton John.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
In
That's
my
a
own way,
hard transition, but you managed to get there in 2 songs. That was
in my
awesome.
own way, it's diverse, but it's
It
just
is.
bizarre diverse.
I'm happy you got a Snoop Dogg song in there. I think it's great.
As soon as he said Snoop Dogg, I was going, get Rich back in here. Get Rich back in here, man. Where'd he go?
Nice.
A little bit different, but that's what a year. I repeat myself, but I really struggled with rock tunes and pop tunes for that year. So I just had to do what I had to do.
Right. Nice. Well, most of my honorable mentions came from like the same type of albums. They were all mostly the same albums. I mean, it's just multiple tracks that I liked on there.
Yeah.
I mean, Doc knows I like Day for Night.
Yeah.
So I had Yawning and Snarling before I had Grace too, but then Yawning and Snarling got cut. You know.
Could have had a few out there, buddy. There's a lot of good songs on that album.
Yeah, I know. It's tough, and it's just like you have to make that choice. Also, A Girl Like You by Edwin Collins is considered a Britpop song. So, Rich, you managed to get a hip hop and a Britpop song on that album
Without even knowing it. So
without even knowing.
That's a skill, Rich.
You did it, man.
one I never knew I had, but I'll take the credit. Anyway, I want to shout out a couple of petty songs off Wildflowers. Crawling Back to You, Cabin Down Below, You Don't Know How It Feels, the title track, all wonderful songs by Tom Petty. And
Totally.
Right. Yeah. Perfect. Anything from you, Doc? Do you want to mention that we're
No, because we covered them off like going back and forth. I wasn't lying, you know. Sabotage was really late for me, man. I'm telling you, it was my last cut. I really do like that tune, man. But outside that, I'd be doing the same thing that you did, you know, going through the albums. You know, I had 3 from Soundgarden. I had 3 written down, 4 really, I guess, if I get down to it for Tragically Hip. Petty, I had, you know, X amount. So it was narrowing down the songs off the albums I was going to go with on how I was going to make my album play out.
right?
What songs really fit the bill for me the best. So, but outside that, I think we covered them off, and that's Doc in '94. It's probably all of us in '94, buddy.
Right. Well, we got one trifecta. That doesn't matter.
Got one.
You got it.
not bad.
Well, all right. That's 1994. That's actually went pretty well there. I thought it did. I mean, we got a lot of different variety there, and it's really cool. So check out our links down below to the Spotify list if you want to take a listen to our playlists and check them out. If you're not familiar with some of the songs, check out Rich's channel because we're going to have our top 10 movies from 1994 as well. Please check out our other videos from 1965 through 1993, so you can kind of catch up with the Joneses a little bit there and see where we're at. And we really appreciate you guys joining us. Rich, thank you for piling around, and Doc, thank you for hanging out with us tonight.
Thank you.
A lot of fun.
Catch you guys next time.
Later.
Ciao.